All right, number 23, we're told to simplify the expression, and we've been given negative 2r to the negative 3, s to the negative 2, t times 5s t to the negative 6. So in this case, we are multiplying. And while it looks a little overwhelming at first glance, if we break this down step by step, it becomes more manageable. And all we're going to do here with number 23 is multiply number to number and then like variable to like variable. Well, what does that mean? Well, if we start and multiply the number by the number, that means we're going to multiply negative 2 by positive 5. Well, that gives us a negative 10. Then we can move on to r to the negative 3 times, oh, well, there's no r in this second expression. And so in that case, this r to the negative 3 just comes down. We'll move on to s to the negative 2. So we say s to the negative 2 times s to the, and this is a positive 1. And don't forget, when you multiply like bases, you are going to add the exponents. So we know our base is going to be s, but what's the exponent going to be? Well, negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So the exponent on our s will be negative 1. And lastly, we're going to do t to the first times t to the negative 6. And again, we know our base will be t, but what will the exponent be? Well, if this is a positive 1, we're going to say positive 1 plus negative 6 equals, well, 1 plus a negative 6 is really the same thing as saying 1 minus 6. And so we end up with negative 5. And so our t will be to the negative 5th power. Remember, we can't have negative exponents, and so we have to make them positive. And we do that by either moving them from the numerator to the denominator or from the denominator to the numerator. Now in this case, notice all of our negative exponents are upstairs in the numerator. How do I know that? Well, remember from class, we can write this whole thing over 1, can't we? So now we can see the numerator clearly, we can see the denominator clearly, because writing something over 1 doesn't change its value. It's still what it originally was. But now that we see the denominator, we can say, all right, well, I can't have r to the negative 3, so I've got to move this thing from upstairs to downstairs. Can't have s to the negative 1, I've got to move this thing from upstairs to downstairs. Can't have s to the negative 5, got to move this thing from upstairs to downstairs. And all that does, moving it from upstairs to downstairs, is changes the sign of the exponent. All right, so we can see we didn't touch this negative 10, that's still upstairs, but we did move r to the negative 3 downstairs, and by doing that it becomes r to the positive 3. S to the negative 1 moves downstairs, so it becomes s to the positive 1, but we're not going to write positive 1 as our exponent, right? We're going to get out of that habit. And s to the negative 5 moves downstairs to become, or excuse me, t to the negative 5 moves downstairs to become t to the now positive 5. And so there we have our final answer for number 23, negative 10 over r cubed st to the 5th.